Hello, hello, hello. I'm Greg DeMyers, founder and CEO of Gregory D Productions, and you are watching an event brought to you by Events and Excellence Productions and Promotions. And we are talking about African American males thriving fearlessly in the marketplace. And we have a wonderful gentleman here on today, which will be introduced by none other than our host, Kim Milton Mackey, and our co-moderator, Jonathan Wharton. Kim?
All right. Thank you, Greg, again for yet another virtual forum that we bring into the community. Thank you so much for all of our panel guests. I have the distinct honor of being in a safe space with none other than Pastor Cisco, Brian Whitfield, Genesis, Irvin Milton, Dr. OD, and also who's be helping me co-moderate today, which is Jonathan Wharton. Now, you may be looking for Jeff, but he was not feeling well. So we want to keep Jeff in our prayers on today. But we are super excited and we are ready to do something great and to share with our community some of the positive things that are happening with those African-American males, families that are going good. Or you may be seeing all kind of things on the television that do not signify us as Black and brown. So today you'll hear about some wonderful things. So without further ado, I want to first introduce my co-moderator, which is Jonathan Wharton. He was born and raised in Detroit. He is a Michigan State University graduate. He's also studying for his master's degree at University of Maryland, and he's an Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. All right, thank you. You'll be hearing from him a little bit later. So what I want to do now is I want to do something a little bit different. I try to take time to talk about my guests, but I want these guests to share with you. I want the guests to share their business name, how they got started, and what services. And we're going to start with Mr. Greg DeMyers. Right after him, Irvin Milton, also Samuel Cisco Duncan, Brian Whitfield, Genesis Terrell, and O.D. Harris, in that order.
Hey, how you doing, Kim? Thank you again. In 2014, the name of my business was actually Chosen by God Ministries, and it was the umbrella for my artistry, Gregory D and Company. But since then, we've built upon that. We've added services, and so I changed the name to Gregory D Productions, which everything falls under, and we specialize in photography, videography, streaming, DJ services, and of course the artistry, Gregory D and Company, which we just hit number 29 on the Billboard with our newest single, Created. So we're excited about that. So hopefully more of my time will go towards the artistry part. But right now, a lot of my time is going towards videography, streaming, and photography. And hey, that's Gregory D Productions in a nutshell.
Irvin.
Yeah, my name is Irvin Milton, owner and operator of E Security, Milton Enterprise, and Milton's Trucking. I got my start like everybody else. I piggybacked off of some people that I came up with doing security with the education and the advice of my mother to the housing, which is where Milton Enterprise comes in at. And also to cap it off, I had a love for trucking since I was a young lad, and I had the opportunity before I started working my current job. I had a choice, and I had to choose the job to take care of my family. But I always said that I'd get back into trucking when I had the opportunity. That time came. I had a business partner that was willing to teach me what I didn't know, and then I've been going ever since. So basically, that's me in a nutshell. I'm a Lansing native. I live in Texas now, and go blue.
All right, Pastor Cisco.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here on tonight. And Sister Kim, thank you again for allowing me to join in on the conversation on tonight. I am Samuel Duncan IV, aka Pastor Cisco, born and raised right here in Lansing, Michigan. Yes. And so I am with Pastor Cisco Ministries, where we really work with people to help their vision come to pass. We coach them, we mentor them, and we really get to a point where we help them realize their full potential and who God created them to be. And so we want to make sure that everyone we come in contact with, they leave better than what they came to us. And so our slogan is we honor God by serving people.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, good evening, and thank you, Kim, for inviting me to this discussion. I'm glad to be a part of this talk with these strong Black men,
Yeah.
and I'm a graphic artist here in Michigan. I've been working with the Department of Transportation for 26 years.
Wow.
But in my free time, I paint murals, I paint paintings, I do a little bit of graphics, volunteer in graphics and that kind of stuff. So I've created the license plate, one of Michigan's license plates.
Wow.
I've created the Ingham County flag,
Oh.
the official state transportation map. So I've done many graphic things, and over
Wow.
the last 5 years, I've painted about 10 plus murals,
Wow.
maybe 15.
Wow. 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 I'm still in wow mode. All right, Genesis.
Sure. So thank you for having me on tonight, Kim. My name is Genesis Terrell. I'm probably the lone Buckeye fan here in this space, but that's okay. I've been in Lansing 7 years. My business that we're talking about today is called Banner King, and I am a wholesale print company. So I offer graphic design, but the bulk of my business is outsourced for graphic designers, ad agencies, county fairs, and different organizations like that. So what that means is they have a graphic designer on staff, and that person orders bulk print work through me. And so I've been in that business technically for about 7 years. And so I've had a long running contract with Days Inn Hotel and quite a few county fairs. And so that's part of my everyday. And then my Fame Factory business umbrellas my hosting and my DJ business and quite a few other things that will be coming about very soon.
Wow.
So glad to be here with you.
All right. Thanks, Genesis. OD. Councilman OD. I apologize.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Councilman O.D. Harris. Just a little bit about me. I'm a military veteran. I am esteemed to be a graduate. I have a master's degree in accounting, where I started my business. I was able to successfully grow it into 7 states and have 35 locations.
Wow.
I have later started a foundation called Ready, Set, Go Foundation. You can go to readysetgofoundation.org to learn more about it. It's currently in 5 states, and the premise of what we do there is just to help people start their own business. We have the only free 5-week entrepreneurial course in the nation currently right now that has been recognized by the late President George Bush, and it has done great things for people in terms of getting out of poverty. I do believe entrepreneurship is a way to get out of poverty. And lastly, I am the councilman of the city of Chandler, where we are the 4th largest city in the nation. I mean, not in the nation, sorry, in the state. And I represent 280,000 constituents. And I guess the edge to this whole thing is that I'm one of few African-American men that have sat on this council. I think I'm the 3rd in 109 years African-American men to be elected to the council. And also I'm one of the few in the nation in terms of Black elected leaders to be to win an election in a predominantly white, 69% white constituent base following. So I have been able to really transfer my skills into something better. And then lastly, I'll just say I have a media company as well. And as you guys can see, I'm flaunching it right now. On the back, OD Harris Media. We do live streaming, photography, videography. And if you guys want to learn more about me, go to odharris.org or .com.
Thank you. So audience out there, you know you're in for a treat. We have some phenomenal men that you'll be learning information from and sharing their stories. All right, without further ado, Jonathan.
Greetings, everyone. First off, go green. Tuck comment. My very first question is for you, Greg. So could you tell us how systematic racism has created the racial wealth gap in property ownership?
Well, just a little bit of fact is in 1968, the Fair Housing Act was passed, making it illegal to discriminate. However, you and I both know that there's what I call is under the table discrimination, if for lack of the better words, because of this, it's difficult to get approved for loans and properties so you can pass along to your children. Just say, for instance, me and a white person, if we own the same home and we ask for an appraisal, his appraisal will come back higher than mine. And we know that we've seen it, it's happened, and we know that it still exists today because I just seen a sign the other week that if you feel that you've been discriminated against the housing, call us. So we know that we're not in a predicament, we're not in a place where we would like to be because of this.
Yes. Very good and very effectful response to that. In fact, I was along the very same lines and I was researching some of my questions earlier. And you touched on the topic of redlining, and a lot of people, and you mentioned the Fair Housing Act of 1968. A lot of people think when they see the images, because they're in black and white, they happened so long ago. But 1968, my mother was alive. My grandmother was an adult. Those are very real and relevant and recent things. So they can impact us very much today. So thank you for that response. My next question is for Brian. Mr. Whitfield, how does the wealth gap continue to adversely affect educational opportunities?
Well, we all know that the wealthy communities take care of their schools. They take care of their facilities. They get the best teachers. Of course, they upgrade their textbooks and technology, and that is usually lacking in the poorer neighborhoods, the poorer school districts. So money really tends to push that wealth gap even farther. Of course, wealth gap. As children, as parents, learn how to raise their kids, they struggle. Sometimes the poor parents, they don't have the time or the resources to give their children that head start when they need it before kindergarten. And of course, our children are lacking because of that lack of pre-K programs. So if we can focus on getting those pre-K programs a jump start, get those kids educated before they get to kindergarten, they will be in line with some of the wealthier communities. Unfortunately, the dollars are still lacking, and so then we have to try to find that money to upgrade our technology. Children will fall behind if the technology doesn't, if they don't get that technical knowledge. You can't get the same kind of job now you could in the past because technology is advancing, and those jobs that you could get with just a high school degree, now you have to have a college degree. You have to have certain skills, and if you can't afford to get those skills, then you're going to be lacking, and it's going to be a kind of a systemic circle of racism and systemic circle of being left behind in the greater communities.
Yes, and just want to touch on that. You brought up a very, very good point regarding funding for schools. A lot of people do not know that public school funding primarily is funded by local taxes. If you're in an area where you have more affluent people, they're able to pay more in taxes. They're able to fund better schooling. They're able to buy the textbooks. And a lot of people who are in very hard hit areas, economically speaking, they wouldn't be able to keep up in that type of race. So very good. Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. Mr. Milton, has the wealth gap forced more African-American males to branch off into their own business as opposed to working at a corporation?
Repeat the question one more time. I didn't catch the first part of it.
No problem. Has the wealth gap forced more African American males to branch off into their own business as opposed to working at a corporation?
Well, that's a good question. Yes and no. I mean, some African Americans are quote unquote scared to go into their own business because a lot of them say, "Hey, I need this person's approval." In other words, I need the white man's permission. They have the loans, they have the money, they have the capital. When that's really not all true. I mean, we have that also. It's just like you said. What I've done is I've decided to stick my neck out and use credit. You know, not necessarily it's just money. It's credit is what gets you a lot of things. And nowadays, there are some men that are willing to, and they are starting to, you know, take a chance on starting a business and working it out themselves rather than going and working for a corporation. They are finding out that there are more tax write-offs. They are finding out what type of tax write-offs that you could use. They're finding that when you go certain places, you can go wherever they go. You can, and that's really pretty much done by the homework that you put in place when you're trying to put your business in motion. Now, working for a corporation is not at all bad either, but like I said, a lot of people choose to go to corporations because of insurance. That's one of the big things. But once again, those type of things are available to you once you start your own business. Is just you have to make that connection with that other person, and it doesn't have to always be your color. It doesn't have to be the opposite color. It can be of Asian descent or of Arab descent. It's just a matter of, you know, hooking up with the right people. And that's what I learned to do is look to the person that can help me, not just the one person, but multiple, because
Yes.
you'll be surprised at who has what type of information that you'll need to get you over that hump that you think just the one person is holding you back on.
Very
It's
good.
just it's all about your drive. So yes, there is a gap and there isn't a gap. So if that makes sense to
Understood.
you.
Now, thank you for your insight. Councilman, my question to you. Why has it been difficult for African American males to accumulate or to pass on wealth to their family?
Well, I just want to say this first
Okay.
before I get into this statement. Many of my constituents are watching, and I want them to understand, and I want everyone to understand that we need to keep a real conversation facing the African American community real, and we can't sugarcoat anything. So, with that being said, I want to share. First of all, African Americans are 200 years behind. I'm just gonna read. I got some notes here that I'm just gonna sum up real quick. Just coming out of slavery, we blacks have faced issues. When we're talking about transferring the wealth, coming out of slavery, we face the Land Act of 1785, the Land Act of 1785 made it more favorable for white men to own over black people, over black men. Later, the 1866 Homestead Act sought to include blacks specifically in transfer of public lands to private farmers, but there was still a lot of discrimination that happened. And then one of the things that people never want to talk about is the terrorism of white capping. White capping that happened. Basically, you guys seen that in Memphis in 1866, and then also you guys seen that in Tulsa when they took the time and burnt and bombed the whole entire tens of thousands of acres in Tulsa. And that's white capping, basically stealing land from African Americans. And then later you've seen that during this time, it was challenging for it was the reason why slavery was so hard is because remember at the time blacks we were considered property. So just like you would go to a bank and get a loan, they were getting a loan on slaves. So we were property. So people were getting loans on us. So when that ended, what happened? It stopped them from being able to accumulate the wealth. So what has changed now? What is now is the fact that Blacks still lack education. We're just now starting to see some equality. So imagine if you had 200 years in an advanced start to accumulate this wealth. So now African Americans are now getting smarter. We're starting to go to school. We're starting to take advantage of housing. We're starting to get Black elected officials in because we understand the importance of being at the table versus being on the menu. Because if you're not at the table, then you are on the menu. And so now, because of that, we are still behind. But life insurance, we leave behind hardly no money for those that are coming behind us. The average Black family has nothing. The average white family leaves about $50,000, but that's because of the average Black family only is bringing in about $20,000 a year. And if you add up all the nation's wealth of Black people, it's still less than um, whites that are making way more money. So when you talk about the transfer of wealth, you have to talk about these economic disparities. These disparities has to do with education. These disparities does have to do with housing. These disparities does have to do with the lack of opportunity. So this is why it's so challenging. But the solution to it is us looking at education, taking it serious, investing in cryptocurrency, investing in buying property. Stop wearing your wealth and start buying your wealth so you can pass that on. Look for a piece of land. Flint got a lot of houses available for $7,500. It's a great opportunity to buy. We have land up in the UP for a lot of people to buy. So if you want to talk about how do we do this, we start by the simple common sense. What do you have now? Then how do we come together? Thank you.
Excellent response. Thank you, Councilman. I just wanted to also hit on a point that you definitely emphasized, which is legacy, right? What are you leaving behind? If you're not leaving your family, especially when it comes to life insurance, the burial expenses that they'll have to incur, whatever settling your affairs, that can definitely set your family back. For the people that you love and the people that you've impacted, leave something for them behind. Very good. Thank you. My next question is for you, Pastor Cisco. America has a dark racial history when it comes to destroying entrepreneurial efforts. How has that changed?
Well, it's changed in many ways. It has evolved from, what we've seen in historical documents, historical movies, going back to what Councilman OD was saying, back in 1921 with the issue with the Black Wall Street and, that whole fiasco there. Even up until today's time, racism has not gone away. It will not go away until Jesus comes. However, we must understand what's going on in this time and in this hour. The new racism now is coming to be the haves versus the have-nots. It's not going to be so much about skin color in the time and in the hour to come, but it's going to be about the have and the have-nots. And so when we really look at our own history as African Americans, we have been a very resilient people. We have been a very innovative people. We have always made something out of nothing. You could drop us in the middle of a field, and by the time you come back, we will have a whole mansion sitting in the middle of that field because we're innovative like that. But when you begin to look at where we are as a people, it's not so much racism in this day and time that's holding us back. Going back to what Councilman OD was saying, a lot of it is us, we ourselves are holding our own selves back. He brought up a great example, all the property that's for sale. What's wrong with two brothers getting together, putting in $5,000 a piece, going to buy a house from the auction, fix that house up over time, putting their own cash in it, and 8-9 months later, it's worth $60,000. Now you got $30,000 a piece where you can flip it and do it again. Why don't we come together as Black men and do those kinds of things? Other cultures will put their money together, watch this, and they will go and buy hair care products where we will line up first thing Saturday morning to go buy, to put in our hair, to put over our eyes and put on our face. Why can't we do the same exact thing? We as African Americans have to learn to put down our pride and come together. Racism has only done so much to us, but we've done more damage to ourselves than racism has. Time won't allow me to get deeper into what I want to get into, but thank you for that question.
Amen, Pastor.
Jonathan,
Amen.
Jonathan, do
That
you mind
was,
if I just comment on what he said
please,
just a
Councilman.
little bit? I'm just going to say the answer to why we don't come together and create this wealth is because we lack trust. We do not trust each other.
Yes.
I honestly tell you that I've heard people say, well, the white man around the corner said this to me and I trust that. But the black man said the same thing and I don't trust that.
Right.
The foundation of trust has to be built in our community. I'm not sure exactly where it stems from, but we lack trust among each other. But if we can get past that and come together, we will be a better people.
Yes. And if I could, I got this dream. You know, Martin Luther King said he had a dream. I don't mean to jump in. I know I'm over my time. Martin Luther King said he had a dream. I have a dream that if we could rewrite the narrative for the African American man in this country, the crime in our communities would diminish. Our kids would not be going to prison like they're going to prison. Right now, Black women, African American women are going to prison at a faster rate than African American men. I'm done.
Powerful. My next question.
That brings up the pipeline. Wait a minute, hold on. That brings up the pipeline to prison, and it happens so much because we start suspending our kids when they're in the 3rd grade and in the 4th grade and in the 5th grade, and we start building this suspension because schools play a part in this prison pipeline. Okay, so when the schools start calling and saying this kid is being suspended for that and that kid's being suspended for that, and not even giving them a chance. This creates the pipeline because guess when they go before the juvenile judge, they already been having a record. They look at the school record. So again, this also suspends us from getting past 18 years old and actually having a future. Thank you.
Well, and let me interject.
This is the hot button question. Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead, Irvin.
I just wanted to say I agree with him on that as far as kids are judged, you know, at an early age. And I only say that because I referee as one of my other duties. And upon a game between a Black team and a white team, or a Black team and Asian team, when we have this thing where the referees come together and we need to discuss how we want to ref the game. Well, I've been on many occasions where a referee will come into the game and say, and it's a Black team or a white team. He'll go in there and say, okay, yeah, we're going to ref this one kind of tough today, you know, because this team right here, I heard they're kind of rough. Okay, where did that come from? And they're the Black team. And they're playing against the white team. Okay, so what about the other team? How are we going to do them? Oh, well, they're a little bit passive, so we can take it easy on them. And this has happened on numerous occasions. And like you said, this is from kids all the way up to high school. I mean, they're judged, you know, just by your appearance, you know, so it's not fair. But I just wanted to add that in. Go ahead.
Thank you. And before we have any more responses, I do want to get back on the time and on topic. My next question is for you, Genesis. Are equal funding opportunities and contracts available for African American males like it is for other nationalities?
Great question. Great feedback, you all, for everything from the last question. But to this question, I think that we're expected to believe that those opportunities are there. However, we know they aren't. I had a great conversation yesterday with an associate of mine who's an older white male. He's 65. And I was explaining to him, you know, different things that I was doing in business. And this goes back to the equal funding and equal contracts. And he said, everything that's been presented to me, you're going to have to discover it. So there's no one that's waiting to say, hey, here's an opportunity. For instance, another associate I spoke with, we were talking about different ways of getting funding. And he said he asked the banker to help him figure out how he could get $100,000. And instead of saying, sure, I'll help you get $100,000, he said, hey, well, you know, there's funding out here for African Americans, and I can guarantee I can get you this $10,000. So instead of working with him to say, hey, help me get that 100,000, he kind of swept it to the side and said, here's 10,000, and you should be satisfied with that. And so the answer, I guess, is going to be a no. And I mean, unfortunately, you know, people want us to think it's out there, but even in my own endeavors, it's never been a fair shake for me.
And I can understand why you would feel that way,
Yeah.
and definitely understand, relevant
Absolutely.
and impactful.
Can I just piggyback off that? When I was
Please,
reading
Greg.
it, I actually thought it was my question, but for example, it the honest truth is they wouldn't say African American grant by minority. You don't
Right.
see grant for white person. You
Right.
don't see grant for white women.
Right.
You don't see that is because it already exists. So that tells you that there is not equal opportunity, and I'm thankful for this year how many more opportunities are starting to present themselves, to the African American family or the more minority family. So we that definitely has to be we definitely have to get that under control. But I do thank God that stuff is starting to happen in that aspect.
Very good. Kim, I'm going to pass this back over to you.
Thank you all for that segment. I think a lot of people are saying, stop wearing your land. That's going to be a hashtag. And then being innovative. There was a lot of things that were said that actually enlightened me. It's good coming from men of color, because when you hear someone else say it, but when you hear testimonies from people that have actually dealt with these things, it actually helps you and motivates you. Before I go on, I like what Pastor Cisco said. Even from these topics tonight, is making connection and making those connections work for you so that we can build wealth. I believe OD said there's so much property now that we should be getting together at some point and start putting our money together and buy so we can stop the homelessness, so we can stop, the mothers that have 4 or 5 kids from being on Section 8. So there are so many issues that we can be working for. So thank you all, gentlemen, for that first segment. Brian, why is it important for Black males to be visible in volunteering in the community?
Let me start by telling you, when I'm painting a mural, I'm out there, and it's not a little thing. These walls are huge. A young Black man, a young Black boy comes walking through there, and he sees a Black man in a position of painting this wall. Somebody allowed him to put artwork on this wall. I can see the wheels turning in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
As this is something. This is something that this man. I'm going to look up to him. I can see that it happens all the time. So volunteering in our communities, we need to be connected to our communities. We need to open up some doors. When we volunteer, we start. When I talked about the wealth gap. Because of that wealth gap, wealthy communities tend to stay in wealthy communities, but they often volunteer. If we volunteer as Black men, we become in line with some of that wealth. We become friends. We get to know these people that are volunteering. It opens up our doors, and we gain new skills. And we can open up doors to the younger people behind us by having them volunteer with us. That gets them in line with some of these businesses, some of these corporations that are opening their doors for volunteers. We gain new skills. Mm-hmm. Black men can gain new skills. It's a way to learn something without having to go to school. Mm-hmm. Just volunteering is a source of meeting a variety of people, breaking down those stereotypical walls. When people see you, they get to know you. They get to understand that this is a Black man and he's not as scary as I thought.
Right.
He's and if we can continue to break some of those walls down, then maybe over time, that will get less and less. So that's my answer.
I love it. I love what you said, Brian, because the more we break down the barrier of fear, one of the purposes I wanted to do the show is I want to continue to show positive images of our Black men. Because every time you turn on the TV, either somebody want to be a football player or a basketball player, but how many people wanted to be an artist? How many people wanted, accountant? How many people wanted to be truckers? It was very few because that's all that most of us saw coming up was those very things. So, like you were saying, it's nothing like looking into a young man's eyes or a young female's eyes and see you, and say, I can do that. So thank you, Brian. OD. And when you talk, OD, make sure you get in that mic so we can hear you because you were coming in and out. So we want to make sure that we're hearing every word that come out of your mouth.
Okay.
Should the country provide restitution and or reparations for the centuries of the way that systematic racism operated in the country?
Okay, I just want to test. I switched over to my AirPods. So can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you for that very difficult question. It's actually it is a national question, and it's more to figure out. Let's talk about it. Reparations. What is reparations? It's a system to redress egregious injustices. That's what reparations is. Is us looking at what was done and how do we address what was so egregious as injustices. Now, many may think, oh well, okay, that's fine, but let's think about that for a minute. United States have given Native Americans, these are egregious injustices that they have determined to be egregious. They've given Native Americans land and billions of dollars for various benefits and programs for being forcibly exiled from their native land. The Japanese Americans have been given $1.5 billion, which was paid to those who were interned during World War II. Additionally, the United States, via the Marshall Plan, helped to ensure that Jews received reparations for the whole Holocaust, including making various investments over time. And in 1952, West Germany agreed to pay $3.45 billion in dots to Holocaust survivors. Now let's think about this. Now you guys know the story of slavery, where we have been beat, ostracized, our ancestors were raped, our children was taken care of, taken from the home. A lot of negative things have happened. I mean, the family was stripped, Black men was, taken out. But in 1860, over $3 billion was assigned to physical bodies that was enslaved. So that means that we were valued at $3 billion in 1860. And then and this is based on our labor and our production of what this country was. And then when you look at it in 1861, the value placed on cotton produced by enslaved Blacks was $250 million. Slavery enriched white slave owners and their descendants and fueled country's economy while suppressing wealth building for the enslaved. Now, if you don't think slavery was egregious, but you thought blowing up people was more egregious, then I don't know where you're going to land in this conversation. The facts are the facts. This is about egregious behavior. Slavery was egregious. It was solely to profit one particular race of people and on the backs of our ancestors. Just to tell you a real story, my family came from slaves. And I'm very passionate about this because I know that before time, my ancestors was known just as a boy or a girl. We were taken from our land. We were taken from the things that we love to do. We were only allowed to eat when it was time, and that was the scraps that was left over. This is why we have so many health problems within the Black community, diabetes, high blood pressure. This is all genetically passed down from slavery. This is why we are likely to die sooner than some of the other ones. Now, if you want to get into it further, I'm just going to say this. When you look at what our people have been through, when you look at slavery is maybe 2 or 3 generations removed. For some, it may be only one. Some of you parents that are still alive went through slavery. So when you ask yourself, is this egregious? Was slavery egregious or was it not? That's your answer to reparations. And you have to come to your own decision. But every other community have been given the right to get something in return for what has happened to them. But yet Blacks, African Americans, specifically African Americans, not just Blacks, because there's all types of Blacks in our country, but specifically African American has not been given that, have not been given what we were due. My grandfather was, a lot of his land was taken. We had 70 acres of land, white capping, taken. So when you talk about reparations, is a very emotional topic for me because I know my family came from slavery, and I know some of you all did. And yes, I do believe that I should, as a descendant of a slave, should receive some of those dollars as a personal descendant of a slave, that my ancestors worked hard of that $3 billion economy that they was building at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, OD. I won't even touch that. What you said, it produced a lot of trauma, and we are descendants of a lot of trauma. And so, with the God we serve, I'm just a God believer. God can do anything but fail. And so a lot of us, we even though we've gone through those things, if it had not been for the hand of God on us and we believed in the higher power, I just don't believe we would be where we are now. We still going through, but I still believe that trauma, the Lord took that trauma. And I believe Pastor Cisco said, you can put us anywhere and we will make something out of nothing. So thank you again, OD, for that. Gregory, the existence of being a Black male is intimidating. So they say. Mm-hmm. Can they do anything? Can African American males do anything different not to be perceived as threatening?
Yes. I would say, look, kind of, no. First, we have to start with dressing, how you dress respectable, and then look respectable, because that creates a stereotype right there. If I walk down the street, I have locks, okay? I have locks. So when it's time to put on the Gregory D Productions hat, I have my hair towards the back. I'm making sure that I look, decent. But if I have a hood on, baggy clothes, and I walk into the store, they're gonna be looking. Yes, they're gonna be looking. But if I walk into, not saying you have to do this, but when I walk into a store with a suit, hey, how you, the conversation, they might carry on the conversation because they don't feel threatened. They feel like you got your head on straight. So first we have to worry about our clothes. Get a size smaller. Why are we still wearing baggy clothes? Y'all, we should have changed to the more thinner set. Not saying wear skinny jeans, because I just maybe start wearing some jeans that's a little bit skinny or tight. But now they're back to the bell bottom. So change your dress, how you dress, how your attire is. Every time I see Jonathan, I see him in the bow tie. He dresses respectable. He could be walking around with a gun in his pocket. I don't know. I can't stereotype him into saying that he's a bad person, because I'm stereotyping him saying he looks like a good person. So what kind of stereotype do you want? Do you want to have the good stereotype saying that this person looks like they got it together, and it may be totally opposite, but at least you look like you got it on? I'm getting excited talking about this. Like I said, but still be yourself. Don't change for anybody, but be yourself. But yes, change your attire for the moment that you're in. When I'm not Gregory D Productions, when I'm Gregory D, I like having it together. I like leaving the house like dressed nice. I don't have to put on the tie and put on. I put on the nice slim shirt, the nice slim pants, the nice shoes, and I'm going about my business, and I don't feel threatened. Yes, sometimes I like to pull down my hair and let it hang. My wife loves it. She said it looks sexy. Can I say that? Yes. And sometimes I want to look sexy for the wife, so I have my hair hanging down, but it's okay as long as I'm being respectable, long as that I'm not, my pants isn't down below my drawers line. It may be down on my waist a little bit, so it doesn't be on my belly button. But there's ways that we can do, especially as Black people, that we can still look respectable. That's me.
Kim, may I
Okay.
add something to that, Kim? Kim, can I add something to that?
Yes.
I just want to
Mhm.
have a counter. I want to have a counter
Yeah.
argument for him,
Me too.
if it's okay.
Yeah.
How does, I think that I'm just going to share this from a political perspective, just from running for a campaign. I ran and I dressed up nice. But how do I get a person to stop looking at my Black face and start seeing my character? That's the biggest problem that we face right now, that we look like a threat, even with a suit on. As
There
dapper
you
as
go.
we look like a threat. And then how do we change that mindset? Because, to be honest with you, when you see a person that don't look like you showing up with a hoodie, jacket on, you don't think they are a threat. Why? Because we've been conditioned in our minds that certain people are up to no good. And when you see Blacks huddled together, they're up to no good and things like that. So my counter argument is that we need more imaging. We need to do a better. You're into media. We need to change the Black man image.
Right.
We need to start seeing the Black man with
You're
his
right.
family. We need to start seeing the Black man in forms like this. We need to start changing the image of the Black man. I don't believe that just necessarily changing our tire alone. I know that's probably one of your things, but the image, who we are, how we show up. Are we in elected official roles? Are we in decision-making roles in corporations? Are we at the top level? And then are those people who have the power to open up the doors, are they going back to reach young Black men and showing this gathering? When I post this on my social media, how do people perceive me to be? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to share this, I'm going to stop. When people don't know I'm an elected official, there's a different level of treatment versus when they know, oh, the Honorable O.D. Harris is here. Oh, did you know that's the Honorable O.D. Harris? He's here. So there's a difference and there's a perception, but we need more imaging. We need to change the imaging through the banners and through the talking and through the pastors and through the artwork. We need to see Black men. We need to see us and change the image. Thank you.
Can I just speak it? Just now that you saying that, for instance, it's so easy to profile a Black person, period. Because when I say I'm in music, they said, "Oh, so you got it? Can I hear some of your rap music?" I didn't say I rapped. I didn't say I was a rapper. I can rap, but I didn't say that. So it's just how we create how we're conditioned as a human being. We say that a lot of Asians are smart. They're smart because they keep their kids in school 24/7. That's why they're smart. So so we automatically just put what a race should be and how a race should feel or what a race should be doing. Is just a way we condition. I love what he's saying. Od said yes. I say the clothing side because first the image of how you are dressed, but yet we do need to. I don't know how we need to punch through this world to let it know that every Black person isn't a bad person. Like you said, seeing with the family. Yes, I'm posting all the time with my family. I'm talking about my family. And I love to see that, and not a man taking care of their children. Seeing that they are the woman is going to have the kids for a couple weeks, but my brother Elton Myers, he takes care of. He has two young girls, and he's been the caregiver for those kids. He's been there taking care of them, taking them to school when he needs a babysitter. But he is the mom and dad for them children, and that's the way. That's what I love to see, and that's what people want to see, and we just need to go ahead and just try to push it because yes, the image is important.
Can I gotta say something real quick? When I'm painting a mural, people always stop me and say, did you do that? Or they say, did you design that? Are you doing this all by yourself? And talking about image, and I always say, yes, I did everything by myself. This is who I am. I'm not doing street art. I'm not doing graffiti. And they see this as a Black man doing something different than what they're used to seeing a Black man do. So, like you said, image, we need to put ourselves out there so we can project a different image. We're not a monolithic group. We are diverse in all kinds of ways, and we need to show that diversity in a positive way.
Right. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I said, President Trump, he put the word lie out there so much to where people actually began to believe. If we continue to make forums like this and put our faces out there and do what we're doing today, is continue to have these conversations, then this is a part of changing our future. That's why I've created this forum, so that we can be a part of. A lot of Black people, you see them in church and all the other places, but they're just not on these platforms. And so that is my vision, is to see more of us looking like us, portraying positive attributes. Don't have to worry about somebody not in a hoodie, because the stuff that people are wearing now, people wear what they want to wear. I mean, so if we get off into clothes, that's a whole nother issue. My mere being should be enough for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're trying to get, is my mere being. So Genesis, Black males are under multiple pressures. Do they get the proper respect deserved in being a businessman?
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, it is not from people that look like us. And this has been a soapbox issue that I deal with a lot of my friends. I often tell them, the people that treat me the worst in business are the people that look like me. And it's horrible that it is that way, and it's completely unfair. But no, as a Black businessman, no. People instantly expect discounts. People instantly expect me to do business the way they want me to do business in my business. And then it goes back, I think it was Pastor Cisco that said there's a trust issue there. I happened to go to Staples one time because I needed office supplies, and I saw one of my former customers there. And I said, you look real humble in here at this Staples counter, but when you come to my business, you treat me like I should bow down and thank you for spending your money with me. And they don't make the demands at other places that they make with us. For example, I literally have people tell me, and this is, once or twice this has happened, here, do all this work, and if it's something that I like, I'll pay for it. You're not doing that anywhere else. Just like in the DJ side of my business, if you book me, if we don't have that kind of relationship to where I know you're going to pay me and there aren't going to be any issues, yes, I need a deposit. But these are the same people that will say, I'm not going to give you any money until the work is done. But we don't do that to anybody else. We don't do that to other races. We just don't. And it's a sad issue. But I think the Black male has it probably worse in business than anybody else. And that's me on my soapbox. Some of these brothers may agree or disagree, but I will argue that one to the heart, because I get treated bad by a lot of us. Now, my corporate clients, my white clients, they pay what it costs, and they never make an issue of it. I know we weren't all about the money, but it was just on my head. So
that's true, brother. That's true. That's
and we
true.
can't change your truth.
No.
Nope. And it is what it is. And everybody had their own experiences with people being a business person. So thank you for that. As we wind down, Irvin, many Black fathers have businesses, work full time, and their juggle work and home life. How do you make everything happen?
No sleep. Well, I mean, it just goes back to knowing how to plan, and use your time accordingly. And a lot of people that's not something that they do on a consistent basis. Is manage time. They go a lot of places, but then at the same time, and say for instance, me today, my time was of the essence. I forgot the times changed between here and there, and I was a little bit off. But as far as juggling that, the way I do it, like I said, is you just take your hours of the day and you just have to delegate that 3 hours of sleep, and then you got to delegate that hour or two with your daughter, or then you delegate that hour with your son. Either whether you're going to play with him in a video game, whether you're going to go to the movies with him, or then at the same time you got to take phone calls because you have a truck down, or someone needs to have a loved one somewhere, or once again you have a gig to do later on that night. So just there's no one particular way that you can do it, but like I said, it's just managing time is just it's almost what word am I looking for? It's almost a skill, because like I said, days go by so quick, and before you know it, you forgot to pick the kid up from school. But yet, you're running around, picking up something else. Or you forgot to tell the wife that, we got to go dinner later. We got to start cooking. So just, my thing is just being able to juggle your sleep time, because to me, that's the key to everything. Most people need 8 hours, 10 hours of sleep. I don't. But then again, I believe if I'm sleeping, I'm missing something. I'm missing a dollar go by, or I'm missing, a jump shot my daughter made in school, or I'm missing my dinner that my wife cooked for me, because I'm sleeping. So, in a nutshell, that's basically the way I sum it up.
Thank you.
Kim, may I chime in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for the business people that's out there, the way you're missing your money is because you haven't learned to create a system to create passive income. Being able to have a book for sale, having a website that can offer merchandising for the business community, being able to have your consulting services already laid out so people can buy into it, using your website as a tool versus just using it as something that you send people to as a resource. So if you are sleeping and you're attempting to make money, then you need to set up a system so that way you can create a passive income. That passive income will then allow you to have the opportunities where you're not missing certain activities. There is a work-life balance, but there is a strategy to making sure that you have good balance and all these things.
Thank you, OD. All right, listen, we're going to get through. Thank you all, our audience, for holding on. We got some good questions we must ask before I end this, okay? So, Pastor Duncan, Cisco, explain how African-American males are forging ahead in their use of technology and social media to raise awareness and evoke a national discussion on religious, civic, and political issues. That's a big one.
It is. However, I mean, if you just take a look at the screen tonight, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brothers on here tonight that this is evident that we are using technology to move forward in these times. And one thing we have to get away from always looking forward to hearing something from a celebrity or somebody that is famous that can say something. We'll do it at the drop of a hat. But when you have hardworking brothers like that, like us, that's on here tonight. I'm listening to Brother Irvin. He sounds like me. He's being a father. He's being an active father in the lives of his children. He's missing sleep, he said, to make sure that he doesn't miss anything. And when we have people like that, that's the example right there. That's who we need to see right there. A hardworking brother taking care of his responsibilities. And so when we get on social media, brothers like that, sometimes we don't get the what's the honor that's owed to us, because we're doing the right thing. We're doing it on a grassroots effort. We're in the pit. We're right there in the thick of things, taking care of our responsibilities. And so when we're on social media, we're using these platforms to put out positive messages. Sometimes it goes unnoticed because we don't have the bling, because we're not standing in front of a big house, because we're not standing in front of this Maserati or what have you, and people miss it because they're looking at the things, the material things that surround these people in these social media posts. How about if we stop posting stuff like that? How about if we stop, exploiting women on social media, and use these social media platforms and this technology to advance our culture, to advance our people to the next level? Here's one for you, and a lot of us are missing out on this one. I'm giving y'all this one for free right here. How many of us in the African American community are investing in cryptocurrency?
Mic drop.
There was a cryptocurrency. Listen,
we need to do one on that.
Listen, there was a cryptocurrency.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Somebody put $1,000 into a particular cryptocurrency back in May. Don't you know they're almost a millionaire right now? I'll stop. Wow. I digress.
Wow. Listen, we're gonna come back on that, because that's something that our people need to know. So put a bookmark right there. We're gonna be back on that, y'all, because I mean to make sure that because I'm telling you, a lot of people don't know about that. This is probably the first they heard on that now.
See, and these are the things that we have to do as African American men. We got to give away the secrets. We keep trying to hold on to the secrets because we're trying to monetize the secrets. Don't monetize the secrets. Share them so that we can all get in on, so we can all get some. That's what it's about. It's about bringing the whole culture forward, not just one or two people. Come on, we all gonna get some. We all going forward. We're gonna look out for each other, and everybody gonna have. Nobody's gonna go without. That's a biblical principle right there. When you read the Bible, Jesus said he wants you to give to the poor.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Proverbs says when you give to the poor, you lend to God. We all got to look out for each other. So we have to give away these secrets. Stop trying to monetize everything that you have.
Come on
Help
now.
somebody out.
That's true.
Come on, that's a good word. Come on, Jonathan. Wow.
Thank you for that, Pastor Cisco. My first question is for you, Mr. Milton. Why have so many African American males ceased attending church?
Well, from my experience and talking with most men, is it's come to a point to now a lot of men work on Sunday. At least that's an excuse, is that they work on Sunday. And at the same time, they're seeing a lot of the clergy or pastoral or deacons or anyone involved in the church doing the same thing that they are doing in the streets. And they look at them sometimes as hypocrites. I mean, I spoke with a young man that told me a story that I wouldn't believe, or anyone would believe in a million years. And I ceased to repeat it. But, once me and that young man got done talking, he said he'd never step foot in the church again because of the story that he told me. But there's a lot of, misconception now in the churches that men and per se women and teenage boys are not wanted to be interested in. They think it's, all about money. They think it's everything is geared toward doing something for the pastor and not for themselves. A lot of them come and say, well, man, how come he can live this way and then I can only live this way? But yet you tell me I'm going to be blessed if I give you my last. Well, I'm still struggling. Well, I might as well work on Sunday so I can make up. So I mean, these are some of the statements that I hear. When I talk with young men, and I deal with a lot of them, that play sports, because like I said, I'm sports, I coach and do a couple other things too. But, there's a lot of young men now that are actually looking at Sunday as a regular day of the week.
Yeah.
So upon saying that, I'll sit back and let the panel, talk.
Can I jump in? Because that's
I'll
my
allow
lane right
one
there.
response to that. Yes.
That's my lane right there. And so what I'm doing, again, I'm giving away the secrets. Oh, Pastor, how you do? How you living at? Why are you driving? How you driving like that? How are you dressing like that? Come here, let me show you. I'm not asking for no money. Come here, let me show you. I want to teach you. I want to show you how I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah, I worked a job 25, 30 years. I got a pension. I saved. I invested. This is how you do it. This is how you get to where you need to be. And so again, we have to be able to get down into the grassroots efforts. There's enough policies and laws and all that kind of stuff in place already for education and for this and for that. How about we sit down and spend time with these young men? I'm going back to the men again, because I believe when you get a hold of the man, when you're able to transform the man, you don't have to worry about the women. The women going to follow. The women love a good man that's going to be able to take care of them. The women love a good man that's going to be strong. Women love a good man that if they don't want to work, if they don't have to work, they ain't got to work, they can take care of the home. Women love a good, strong man. So if we can build good, strong men. All right, I digress again.
Moving on topic. Thank you for your views. Thank you for your views. My next question is for you, Greg. Being rich and popular seems to be a hot topic. We even heard tonight about cryptocurrencies. Why are so many men turning to the world of success and not God?
I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but the audience is larger, and the opportunities are endless when dealing with the world. But dealing with God, there's boundaries that you have to abide by. And if I can be honest, church folk ain't paying what the world pays because we think everything should be free. A perfect example is a marketing rep told me that my clothing line is not going to reach as far as if I was to get something or get a saying that is for everyone. So we have to change in order for us to capture or to get everyone on board, is we have to come up with things that are if not equal or if not better than being in the world. Because right now it's a concert. If you go to a concert, they'll pay $300 for a VIP ticket at a concert to see Bruno Mars. But say if Kurt Franklin come, they say, I ain't paying $100 for no VIP. Why is that? Why do we have to lack? Why is there a lack in the kingdom of God? Why shouldn't we have? Why is it that we don't have? That we're not doing better per se financially, if I may say. Yes, we're going to heaven. Yes, we're reaping the benefits. Yes, our health is, but we have to make it. We need to be able to. I want to be able to say, living for God, I'm good living for God. I have everything I need. I don't have any wants living for God. But it's our mindset has to change, and we have to think about opportunity that's not going to just reach the Christian folk, but it needs to reach everyone. I'm not saying crossover, but yet you might have to have that crossover thing that is not just talking to the saved folk. It's talking to you. It's talking to the whoremonger. It's talking to the drug dealer. It's talking to people as well. Because when we just we stick God in this box. So that's why people don't want to get in that box, because we stick them in this box and saying that you just have to live this certain way. You have to do this certain way in order to get what God has for you. But we need to be able to change that aspect and just go ahead and just say, hey, living for God is much better, even though you may not reap the benefits right away, but you will reap them in the end.
Absolutely. Wherever you go, whatever you do, always take the Lord along with you. My next question is for you, Mr. Whitfield. What role does prayer play in the daily life when you're dealing with multiple challenges?
Prayer is something that I've learned to appreciate, learned to live with. I when I was in graduate school years ago, I was out of my element. I was in a new city, and I was living in Baltimore, and it was a new culture. And I started praying back then, and I learned that um, I'm in constant prayer. I'm in constant relationship with God, and that's what prayer is for me. It's building a relationship with God. And as I've gotten older over these last few years, I've learned that how God answers me through my prayers, and we have that relationship. If you pray when you eat, if you pray when you go to bed, you're not building that relationship. I constantly pray. I prayed for this forum. I prayed during the forum. I prayed before my answers. So it's a constant prayer. A little funny story though, because I pray constantly. I'm driving down the street, maybe listening to some gospel music or something, and I'm communicating with God. Somebody cuts me off, and all of a sudden, I'm in someplace else. I've just lost all my religion, and so it's really understanding that God understands that. God understands that. God knows how you feel, and so I have to forgive myself for those things. I'm constantly, like it says, like it just popped up, renewing of your mind constantly.
Yes.
And you will get turned around. Somebody looks at you funny, and you kind of cock your head like what? But then because I'm praying all the time, I'm going back to God and saying, okay, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to be? And I've learned that people can do things to you, people can do things around you, but it doesn't necessarily affect how you react, because God will give you that feeling. And sometimes it goes away. It goes away. That feeling. Like I said, you drive down the street and somebody cuts you off, but you get pulled back in because you have that relationship. Without that relationship, you don't necessarily going to get pulled back in. You're going to might go through some stuff, might go through some angers and,
Yes.
and all that stuff. Eventually, you may get to the prayer part. But if you're in constant communication with God, it happens pretty quickly, I think. That's how I live my life in just constant prayer. Especially when I'm painting these murals, I'm going up on top, going up a wall in a lift, 30 feet high, and I don't like heights. So I said, Lord, why do you have me on this lift? I don't like heights. When I was in graduate school, I said, I'm not going to paint a large mural. I'm not going to paint large paintings. I said, that's not who I am. And I'm 30 years later, I'm here painting these gigantic murals, But that's the relationship. God says, you can do this. You're going to live uncomfortable for a while, but you can do this. So that's why I when you say daily prayer, it's moment by moment by moment prayer.
My grace is sufficient. My next question is for you, Genesis. Black men are a moving target. How can they maintain their faith?
Real quick for me, I can only speak for me, but the foundation in which I came up in has been very key for me in maintaining my faith. So when man or when life or situations tell you no, if you know that God has brought you through a situation, it's not hard to have faith. So also relationship, because it's one thing to go to church and get dragged to church and be sitting there all your life. No, you don't want to be there. You don't want to hear about God. But when you make up in your mind that you're going to have a relationship with God, it's a totally different situation. And always remembering who I am and whose I am. That has been huge for me. And tying into business and other things, trying God and proving him at his word does not make it hard for me to have faith. One of my favorite scriptures talks about God giving seed to the sower. And I like to prove that he does that. When I host events, I talk about this all the time. When I host events and they pay me for the events, I cash out the money to the audience, because I know, like the last 3 or 4 events I've done, I have given away whatever they gave me to host and got it back times 2 or 3 within the next couple days. And so it's easy for me to have faith when I can say I tried them and I know them and I found them to be my friend. And keep them as your friend. You can forget about what the world says, because if we focus on what is right in front of us, none of us would have faith. So that's it. I don't want to take up too much time with that.
You said it right there.
Yeah.
Councilman, how has politics divided our churches, and what can we do to remedy it?
Thank you for the question. Since we are where we are, there was a man that lived and he died at the age of 33, and he was beat and he was bruised, and the chastisement of the people was upon him, and for some reason I get a benefit from that. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. Politics killed my Jesus. It has been, will be one of the most divisive things that I've ever seen in my life. And you can't even talk about it from the world. We can talk about it right here in the church. We have people who are literally coming to church, criticizing, she ain't doing this, he ain't doing that, running to the pastor's office, doing this. What you doing? Why you all in the business over here? You gossiping about folks. You talk about what politics does. It divides us. It divides us. But I'm so glad for Jesus. I'm so glad he died on the cross for my sins. I'm so glad that he allowed me to have a new life. I look better every single day. They said this to me. They said, there's no way you're going to get elected in an area with 70% white people voting for you. There's no way you're going to get elected. But let me tell you something. I got ostracized. They cut my signs down the middle. They called me the N-word. After I won, they came and slashed all the tires of me and my wife at my house with me and my wife tires. They slashed all the tires. Let me tell you something. God is able. Okay. Politics don't matter. It's Jesus Christ dying on the cross for our sins. If there's nothing else you're getting from this message, is that he died and he rose again for you and me.
Come on.
So you ask me, have politics divide us? I take Jesus along with me in my journey. When I'm on the council, I say, Lord, give me what you need to give to your people, because I know that you have allowed me to be a part of the Leviticus priesthood. You have allowed me to rule over your people and for me to set policies in order and to set order in house. You tell me about politics. I tell you about Jesus Christ and how he can. And I pray that someone is getting this message even while I'm talking right now. So has it divided us? Yes, but Jesus brought us back together again. He is the only remedy to bring us back from bad to good. He is the only thing that stops bad from happening and turns it around for the good. He's the only reason why I know why he says the bad is working for your good. His stuff, it don't even make sense, but his word is forever settled in heaven. I'm here because of Jesus. I'm a witness that he can see you through. I'm a witness that prayer does that those that pray, he will answer your prayer. So you know what? I say this, whether I'm ever elected again, I know Jesus died on the cross for my sins. And I know one day I'm going to get up out of here, because the same thing, greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world. So no matter how tough it gets, I remember who I am, whose I am, because I know it was nothing but the blood of Jesus. I got the red on because it's the blood of Jesus. And if you don't know that for yourself, you are missing out. And that comes from the Honorable O.D. Harris, in Jesus' name.
Come on now.
Somebody ought to give him a praise break right where
Boom.
you are. Some of you guys may need to lift your hands right where you are. Some of you guys need to tell the Lord, thank you. You've been having a bad day and you haven't been sure how you're going to get through. You've been having some financial issues and you're not sure how God's going to show
Come
up
on
in your
now.
life. But I tell you right now, if you can take a moment and give him a praise, it doesn't matter what formalities we are in. Let's take a moment and give him the absolute praise because he is so worthy of every praise. The devil can't even handle your praise. The devil is mad right now that you're praising him. Let's set the atmosphere right. Let's say that's what a real man do. A real man prays. A real man calls his family to the house, to the table, and he begins to lay hands on his family and say, you shall live and you're not going to die. That financial issue that you're having, baby, we're going to get through this together. A real man prays. A real man steps into the kingdom and become the lion that he is.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that was it. All right. My next question is for you, Pastor Cisco. How can we be an effective business person in the world and also advance the kingdom of God?
Well, you know, it's already been said. You know, Councilman OD, we call him. We might as well call him Preacher Man OD on tonight. He's already said it. Brian's already mentioned it. You have to acquiesce to the God factor. What do you mean? You have to avail yourself to God, to the true and living God. You have to avail yourself to God through your relationship with Jesus Christ. So there's three elements. Number one is prayer. And we already talked about prayer. Brian talked about prayer. OD talked about prayer. Prayer is one of the vehicles, anyway, that allows God, or rather, it gives God permission to step into the midst of your affairs. So prayer is number one. Number two, we need to have integrity. All right. What is integrity? Integrity is that you are able to keep it together when you're under pressure. You're able to keep it together when you're tested with trials and temptations. That way you can testify of who Christ is in your life. And number three, you need to help somebody else along with you as you move through this journey called life and help them become successful just as you are.
Very good, Pastor Cisco. I'm going to pass it back off to Kim.
Somebody put in there that second question real quick before I go to this last segment. What about the second part of the question? What can we do to repair the division within the church? Anybody can tackle that for like 1 minute. 1 minute.
If I could.
Okay.
I think, granted, I'm no pastor. I am his child, though. So I think so often we bog ourselves down on things that don't matter, things that's going on in people's personal lives, when we should really, really, truly, honestly, just love on one another. So many times the key, the answer is love. Love is forgiveness. It keeps no record of wrongdoing. Love cleanses us. So the moment we step away, we defer away from love, is the moment we step away from the grace of God. It's so easy to say, oh, well, I'm not doing what they're doing, so what I'm doing must be better. You know, I'm not a thief. I'm not a liar. I don't go in and sleep with people's significant others. But you do your own thing. And while we should always strive to be better, while we should always strive to live a godly, clean life, it must also be said, we do not sit in the judgment seat. That's not who we are. That's not what our purpose is. Our purpose, my last commandment to you, is to love each other as I've loved you. Would you love to be loved how you love others? That's just what I want to leave you with.
Wow, that's good. Good. Did anybody else want to say anything? Okay, thank you for that. That's one of the things that the love of men have waxed cold, and I believe that's why we have so much hate and going on. But it really doesn't matter what we see, because when you in kingdom, you don't see the world as we see it anyway. We see it in a whole different way in kingdom. And so we cannot collide the world with the church. The church is a set aside sacred place set for the building and of God's believers. So no matter how we try to put it together, we can't. The church is separate, God is separate. And tonight, I think for the people to hear the words of the Lord coming from men of Zion, men who really believe in men, these are successful men on this platform tonight, that each one of them said, God is the foundation. If it had not been for him, you wouldn't have been your job, anything. The things that we thought we were going to do, we're doing things that whatever God had ordained for us to do. So I want us tonight to remember, even the audience tonight is to remember, we will not demise the ecclesia body, and we will not demise the church. The church, if you don't hear me on anything else, we will not be in the future without the church. So again, I want our audience to say, because a lot of people are talking about the church, the church, the church. Look, the church is not like your house. The church is a set aside place set for the master's use. And I believe Pastor OD said it best. Nothing we do without the hands of God will prosper. And I don't care how much money we got, how much popularity we got. If God ain't in it, you might as well go somewhere and be a tingling cymbal somewhere. And so all of what we're trying to do tonight is to bring people back to the foundation, recognize the marketplace, recognize your business, but know who's on the bottom, know who's holding your business up. So thank you all for being. So this last segment, I want you to take a minute and to share an inspirational word that breathes life into our community. And then also tell us what's coming next for your business. I'll call you. Irvin, you'll be first. Genesis, you'll be second. And then I'll come back real quick. Irvin and Genesis. So Irvin, he got off. So Genesis, go ahead.
Just as an inspirational word to anybody, don't give up and always believe in yourself. I know that's a common thing, that's a cliche thing, but it really is the truth. And if we just stay focused on what we're doing, God honors our labor and he honors our work, and there is a reward that comes. And so on the other side of that, in addition to what I'm doing here at Banner King with the wholesale print, the first quarter of 2022, Fame TV our Fame TV app is going to be launching on Roku, creating a platform for situations such as this, and movies, and Fame stands for faith, art, music, and entertainment. And so it's very similar to Netflix, Hulu, and all those things. And so we're very excited about that for the first quarter of 2022. Thank you.
Gee. Wow. Okay, Greg.
Yes. I do this so much, but you have to do it in order to get to where you want to go. Don't give up, because 2014, I started Gregory D and Company. Kim Milton Mackey, she was with me. She had the blueprint, everything you need to, get your photo shoot. You got to get your flyer. We're going to get you a coming out. And for years, year after year, I was able to put out a single. Year after year, able to push the music. And just not into this year, we have a top 30 single. I see there's people that give up all the time, and I've never given up. You guys, I know some naysayers. I haven't been invited to different places for whatever reason, but I did not give up. There's a goal that we had it set. Yeah. There's a goal, and we accomplished that goal, and on to the next goal. So don't give up. Mm-hmm. Don't let money be the obstacle. If money is, try something else until you get the money to do what you need to do. And what's happening with Gregory D Productions is we are working on landing a new location. We actually have that. We got to sign some papers. So we're gonna have a new location for the photography side of Gregory D Productions.
Wow.
And I'll give you an update. It'll be announcement, and I'm excited about partnering with one of my dear friends. And more to come. I don't like to spill the beans too much, but it is coming. Right now, I'll probably still be doing my stuff here in my home studio, but I'll be taking on clients outside of the home.
Wow. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. Brian.
Trust God to guide every step that you take. Trust God to guide every step that you take. And the things that I've done in my life, I've never promoted. I've never gone out of my way to make it known. But God has continually blessed me and put me out there. And sometimes I think I don't want to be out there, but God knows what He's doing, and I just go with that. I just go with that flow. One thing I've been told to do by God is to be kind. Kindness will take you so much further than anything else. Be kind to those who look at you funny. Be kind to those that you love. Be intentionally kind to each other, and God will bless you, and He will take care of you throughout. So there's so much, I don't know if I can say anything. I'm not the kind of speaker, when I was younger, I avoided microphones. I didn't like to public speaking. I that wasn't my thing. It's still not my thing. So,
well, thank you for being on.
But God has told me that when you're uncomfortable, I'm going to bless you.
Wow. Thank you, Jesus. Wow. Just that moment right there. Listen, that moment launched me into this. It was, everything was so uncomfortable. I just have to say that because that moment took me back. Because when you used to working in the background, used to being at church doing a lot of things, and you just don't want your face to be, so you just, and the Lord said, now is the time. So that moment that you just spoke, it just really did something to me. All right, Pastor Duncan Cisco.
Yes. All right. I just want to encourage everybody out there to move forward. The wait is over. Your waiting period is over. You're no longer waiting on God, but God is waiting on you. Step out in faith and do what He has placed on your heart to do, and watch Him catch you. Watch Him order your steps. Psalms 37:23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His ways. Step out on faith and watch what God will do on your behalf. If you want to, you can join me every Friday morning, 7:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and Instagram Live for Jesus and Coffee. All right. And you can also catch up with me at my website, pastorcisco.com.
All right. Thank you. Real quick, you got a book too, Pastor Cisco.
Yes.
You want to let the audience know real quick about your book?
Yeah. So this is entitled Drawn Out for a Purpose, Discovering God's Divine Gifts for Your Life. God's divine purpose for your life. Everybody has a purpose, and many of us are searching on what God has created us or birthed us to do here in the earth. And so if you're kind of wondering what your purpose is, want to find out how to discover your purpose, this may be a good start for you. Very simple, easy book to read. Again, Drawn Out for a Purpose. You can find it again on my website, pastorcisco.com.
Thank you, Pastor. All right. Councilman O.D. Harris, Preacher O.D. Harris.
Well, thank you. I want to honor you, Kim. I've been knowing you for quite a long time. I remember when we rallied together to do the first Trayvon Martin rally in the city of Lansing. I got a chance to get to know you, and I must tell you, I know you as a friend. I know you before I was the councilman, but I'm so glad that you were there inspiring me and teaching me. And a lot of the things I've learned on my journey has come from your words of wisdom. And now I get a chance to sit at the table and allow people to come to the table. So I'm very honored, and I'm very thankful that you have allowed me, to be on your platform today. And so with that being said, thank you to this distinguished guest. I appreciate you. We had a great jippery conversation. But to the people that are watching, I want to leave you with this. No weapon formed against you shall not prosper. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. And I think about weapons. How do they come? They come through slanderous words. They come through physical items. They come through spiritual attacks. They come through mental attacks. They come in all shapes. But one of the biggest things that's happening today is that the devil is robbing people of their purpose, robbing people of their victory, robbing people of getting to their next level. And the next level is where you're supposed to be at. I appreciate Pastor Cisco saying that you have been released to pursue what God has put in you. And I can share with you just from a person, I'm a young Black man who came from nothing, who has arrived into something. Everything I built on my own. My success came from the help of the Lord, but He has been able to give me woody ideals and to be creative and to be in the place I am today. So that way I can tell you, you can make it. This position, this role that I'm in, He's telling me to let you know that you can make it. So those artists, those book, you got a book in you, get it out there. You got a CD in you, get it out. You have a Facebook Live, you got a stream, you got something in you, and God says, get it out. You're trying to make a decision to pivot now. I pivot so many different times. I'm still pivoting. It's okay. You may be older. You may feel like, hey, I'm 60 something years old. I can't do this anymore. You can do it, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Rebuke the devil and he shall flee. So what I want to share with you guys is I have my book, thank the Lord, that I will be remiss, Quantum Leap Theory of Leadership. And in this book, we talk about how to quantum leap from the bottom to the top. I ran as a Black elected official. I've never been in politics before a day in my life. I've only wanted to serve. That's always been my goal. And God allowed me to serve in this capacity. This book tells various stories of Oprah Winfrey, Little Nas, Steve Jobs, Tyler Perry, Martin Luther King. And within the book, it teaches you how were they able to go from one place to the next level. And so in this book, it's Quantum Leap Theory. It was a Amazon #1 seller. I put it out right before the pandemic, and I got a lot of great reviews. I sold hundreds of units of copies. And so now I got to get back on my book tour. So I want you guys, please, if you can invest, I think it's about $10 for this book. Invest that. That will be such a great honor. And remember to go and visit me at odharris.com, where you can learn how you can get more involved with what I'm doing. And as I say, I'll see you in the big house one day.
All right. Thank you. All right, Jonathan, give us a departing word real quick.
Couple things. To anyone who may be watching, whether you're young or you're old, just be mindful. Be mindful of the fact that the younger generation is watching you. We're seeing how we ought to move, the type of adults, parents, even grandparents that we want to be. Just be mindful. Reach back when you can. Show love, show grace and understanding. And again, I want to bring it back to legacy. What are you leaving behind? What are you leaving behind for your children to see, for your community to be able to build off of? We're here today. We're able to stand on the shoulders of giants of our communities. You got your Dr. Kings, your C.T. Vivians, your Thurgood Marshalls, you name it. We're here, and we have the opportunities that we do have because others have struggled and sacrificed, and they've been a source of inspiration for us all. So I definitely want to recommend that the very next opportunity that you do have, whether you're in your own forum, in your own communities, in your own friend groups, show grace, show love, show humility, and be great. Thank you.
Thank you again for all of our guests on tonight. We went over, but every minute of it was so intriguing, and we still have lots of people that are on. Again, thank you, Pastor Cisco. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Councilman Odie. Thank you, Genesis. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Urban, who was having problems. I want to depart and say that, our women, I'm speaking to every woman out there, to continue to believe in males of color. Continue to make your place in history. It's good. We love it. But the Lord ordained for some things to happen the way He ordained them. And these men are a part of that original process. And so we want to continue to respect them in their spaces. And last but not least, we want to hear from you. If there are topics that you want me to cover, inbox me, let me know. And lastly, these broadcasts are not free. So if you want to sponsor one of our broadcasts, you can do that. Without further ado, Pastor Cisco, if you can dismiss us.
Gracious Father, we thank you again for how you have allowed us to come together today, God, and just to encourage someone, inspire someone, and edify someone else. And Father, as we continue moving forward in the days and the weeks, the months and the years to come, we just pray, God, that you continue to be with us, God, that you will continue to order our steps, God, that we would be pleasing unto you. And we thank you for the host, oh God, and the moderators on tonight. We pray that you continue to bless them and provide everything that they need, oh God, to continue moving forward, oh God, with this wonderful form of men, women, and entrepreneurs and whomever they may bring on, oh God. And so, Father, we just pray as we depart from this stream on tonight, God, that you would keep us, oh God, that you would protect us and bless everyone under the sound of my voice. And we'll forever give your name praise, glory, and honor. In the name of Jesus Christ, we do pray. Amen.
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 God bless everyone.